Ladies and gentlemen, he's a child of God, a husband, NRA conservative, radical right-wing supervillain, and Twitter rock star. American by birth, Texan by choice, and a badass by nature. He's the owner of TomO'Halloran.com, O'HalloranMedia.com, and PatriotRadio.net. Please welcome Tom O'Halloran.
Today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
And good morning, America. This is Thursday. Welcome to the Patriot Radio Show. I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran, and I'm broadcasting today from my underground bunker deep in Arkansas, Nebraska. And I'm here to educate, irritate, and agitate. And folks, I guarantee you'll be fully agitated by the time this hour is over. Again, my name's Tom O'Halloran. My primary blog is TomO'Halloran.com. When you get there, please be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Spreaker, any other social media that you fancy. Also, please follow my editor, Veronica Coffin. Veronica manages several websites on our network. Without her doing that, I couldn't do this. You'll find her follow button at the bottom of each and every post. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Patriot Radio Show. And I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/O'Halloran. If you'd like to join the conversation today, please feel free. The studio line is 903-461. No, that's a fax number. I got a new fax line. My studio number is 832-761-1766. I'm glad I didn't get that whole number out there. You can also listen to the live stream as well as join the chat room conversation over at PatriotRadioshow.com. And folks, I'm on air 5 days a week, so if you're just finding us, please set your alarms. It's 9 a.m. Texas time, Monday through Thursday for this, the Patriot Radio Show. On Fridays, I do Jihad on America. Here I cover the Islamists in America, from the White House down. I tell you who they are, what they want, and why you should be afraid. If you did not catch my show on the Muslim Brotherhood, my show Islam is Not a Religion, or my show on Islamophobia, then please find your way to PatriotRadioshow.com and catch all three of these shows. They will give you insight and perspective on the topic. Perspective that you've probably not gotten anywhere else. They'll also give you a solid foundation upon which we build each and every Friday as we continue to pull back the mask of Islam, looking at what's being done in the name of Allah, both here and abroad. And I do the news about Islam around the world because it's a glimpse into the future of what's in store for us here in the homeland if we continue to allow the cancer of Islam to spread. Keep abreast of my shows, listen to the live stream, as well as catch up on any archives that you may have missed, all at PatriotRadioshow.com. We got stuff from all over the chart today. Sometimes we have kind of a general theme, and the stories are all in one vein. But today we're doing a little bit of New Hampshire wrap-up on the New Hampshire primary. We've got a little bit of news, a little bit of Islamic stuff. We're all over the place. So got a great lineup of stuff to share with you. Right off the bat, let's get this one out of the way. I'm not going to go into it in a great deal of detail because it's almost a non-story. The standoff up in Oregon is wrapping up as we speak, or did just a little bit ago. The FBI up in Burns, Oregon took armored vehicles in and surrounded the last four occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge and I believe they actually arrested the owner of the Nevada ranch, Cliven Bundy. Yes, they arrested him and jailed him. Let's see. Also headed to Burns. Anyway, that showdown is over. I haven't covered it in a great deal on this show. I'm all for standing up to the government. I'm all for pointing out governmental tyranny. I'm all for making change. But this was a story where the event was to protest a man and his son that was sentenced to jail. There was an issue on the ranch, and I don't have all the details in front of me. I wasn't really planning on doing the story, but it's a late breaking thing. It was shared with me by one of my good friend Richard in the chat room. It's late breaking. They're closing it down, but the original impetus for the standoff was a couple of people that got sentenced to jail time. And I believe there was an arson charge in there, but I believe that stemmed from something they did. The original charge was using rainwater on their property. Now, it wasn't like they were collecting rainwater off their roof, which I would have been livid if they were stopping them from being able to do that. I mean, rainwater harvesting from your roofs ought to be naturally allowable. But the federal government had a problem with them taking rain runoff from their property as it flowed through a creek. Well, once it reaches the creek, the government says they have control over it. The what is it? I don't think it's the EPA. Anyway, some government regulatory branch was claiming that they had the right to regulate it. Anyway, long story short, they went to court, they lost. I guess there was a fire, there were some more charges, and Bundy and company went up there to support these original people. Well, the people they were going up to support, and Richard telling me in the chat room, I've got my facts fairly well off track. In the broad strokes, I think they're, for the purpose of this, I think they're fairly in line, although the details may be off. But the people that the protesters and the militias were going up to support, they said, we want nothing to do with these people. We want nothing to do with the standoff. We will be turning ourselves in to do the jail time as ordered. So it's a protest without a cause. Number one. Number two, from the day this started, from the day they took over a government building with weapons, there's only one way it could end. There's only one way something like that can end. The government is not going to stand down and say, okay, you win, you can have the land back. They're not going to say, okay, you win, we'll let them out of jail. Somebody was going to get shot dead by the government. We've seen Waco, we've seen Ruby Ridge. The only variables in this are how long will it take and how many people will they kill. Now, don't take that as me being on the side of the government. I'm just saying that's not the way to make your point, unless your point is you'd rather be shot than be told what to do by the government. So, understand my friend Richard is from up in Oregon, or he's not in Oregon right now, but he was up there for a long time. He's much more in tune with what was going on. But I have some real problems with the way that the protesters managed that whole process. So it's not a story that I've covered because from the beginning I had problems with finding a reason to support it. And we can talk offline and you may convince me, but from what I saw, it was just a bad move from the beginning. Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh has been supporting Ted Cruz. I believe he was kind of backing Marco Rubio in earlier sessions. But he came out this week with a column that was rather surprising. He had said things in the past that were rather anti-Donald Trump. He's a show-off, he's a this, he's a showmanship. I don't know if he ever went to the calling him a buffoon or not. But this was a great column. He says, here's Trump running against everything going on in Washington and declaring what's going on in Washington is incompetent and being performed by a bunch of hacks that are only in it for themselves. He's put together a coalition that covers every group, demographic and otherwise, that you can think of. And among the smallest of this group is the conservatives. That's why he can win big in New Hampshire, with taking not only a very big percentage of the conservative vote because his coalition is so big and made up of so many other different groups. He's won only a third of the very conservative vote. Among evangelical votes, Trump and Cruz basically tied. Who in the world would predict that? After Cruz comes and dominates Iowa and does so on the basis of the evangelical voters, and Trump, 2 Corinthians that walk into a bar. Everybody's laughing at Donald Trump for saying 2 Corinthians rather than the 2 Corinthians. Donald Trump, 2 Corinthians, this and the Bible. The Bible kills except my book. And yet evangelicals for Trump tied with Ted Cruz. Trump won. The exit polls were right, Limbaugh continued. Trump won men, he won women, he won every age group, he won every ideology, liberal, conservative, moderate, libertarian. Every group, Trump won a majority of voters. He won among people who had gone to college and people who hadn't. He won among people who had only a high school education. He won among people who didn't even have a high school education. Every age bracket. He won men 3-1 over the second place finisher. Women, he won 2-1. Voters under 30 who had attended college voted for Trump. This is what the Republican Party's been yelling they need to join them. They need these people to win. Limbaugh says, I've had them come to my office. I've told you. I've had Senator Rand Paul. I've had Romney here. One thing they've all had in common is that the Republican Party can't win Republican votes on Republican votes alone anymore. We have to branch out. We have to reach out. This is what they were telling me to prepare for. Some campaign tactics that I was going to see. That they were going to have to reach out on immigration. That was one way for them to reach out, supporting amnesty. But instead of praising Trump for this accomplishment, Limbaugh argues that the GOP is criticizing Trump instead. Well, all along, Trump has built the coalition that the Republican Party claims to have wanted, and now they're out there badgering him and bashing it. It's exactly what they claim to want. They could have had it. The Republican Party could have had the Trump coalition. They could have had all the health care. They could have had it at health care. A majority of voters opposed Obamacare from the get-go. The Republican Party could have seriously attempted to form an alliance with the Tea Party and the anti-Obamacare people, and been a dominant majority party on that issue alone. And then on subsequent issues to come down the pike in the Republican Party, they could have formed an alliance with the majorities in other areas of opposition. But they didn't. The Trump coalition could have been the Republican Party. They couldn't do it because they thought it was all conservative. They couldn't do it because they thought the Tea Party was a bunch of hayseed hicks who believe in pro-life politics, and they just couldn't do it. They couldn't build a bridge. Whatever it is, fear of social issues, dislike of conservatism, not wanting to get in bed with people who want the government to be smaller and less intrusive in people's lives. Whatever it takes, they couldn't do it. And now because they couldn't do it, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the exact coalition that the Republican Party, to a man, has told me that they need to win, that they need to thrive. And now they're reducing and bashing it by virtue. They're reduced to bashing it by virtue of bashing Trump. The two people who are showing the Republican Party all they had to do of these past 7 years, but they didn't. They purposely, strategically, tactically refused to push back. They refused to make a spectacle of stopping Obama. And they have themselves to blame for the predicament. You see, Donald Trump hasn't done anything radical. Donald Trump has done just what the Republicans should have been doing from the get-go. But they didn't have the backbone. They were afraid to stand up to the president. America has been telling them that these are the things they need to do for many, many years. And they refused. And now that someone has done it, rather than embracing Trump and bringing all those people into the fold, they ridicule and mock him. They're going to be the party of no yet again. Stick around, my friends. We've got a lot more coming up right after this.
Home invasions are on the rise. Money is tight, but your alarm and cameras are not enough. Stop them before they get in. Armor City Doors has your solution. A simple kit that you could self-install that will have you protected in an hour. No matter what kind of door you currently have, this will work. Even if you live in an apartment, you can protect yourself and your family. Prices starting at just $69, depending, of course, on your door. And you can have kick-proof protection to your home. Professional installation is available. Get peace of mind that is real. Call Jenny today, 713-487-5539, 713-487-5539, or go to Armor City Door. No matter where you live in Texas, you can have an Armor City Door.
Webgoats.com. Hello again, my little Muslim holy warriors. This is your mama told you, Khomeini. And after a killer day of holy war, you just need to relax a little while maintaining your Islamic purity. Even if you have a wife, you don't want to have to listen to her after all the stress of fighting the infidels. And when there are no little boys to booger, and there is no woman, it's time for you to go to webgoats.com. Our goats are so fine, you will not even want a woman if there is one. Try Nanny. She can't wait to meet a smelly cave dweller like you, or our newest favorite for all you infidel killers, the Thompson twins. You can't find hot goats like this just anywhere. You can only find them at webgoats.com. And if you happen to be tied up right now, or just locked up in some infidel's prison, do not worry. We have the new goat cams for the virtual experience. These goats are certified to be pure for you. And let's be honest, with goats like these, you may never want to be with a disgusting woman ever again. Webgoats.com.
The Lion and Rose Restaurant and British Pub is the after-work destination. The happy hour is very serious. Decisions have to be made, like what scrumptious appetizer are you going to order? They serve a wide selection of delectable British and American entrees at the Lion and Rose, San Antonio's favorite pub, and check out their lunch specials. Pub trivia and karaoke nights means fun for all, and you can get catering for any event. 4 Alamo City locations: Stone Oak, Alamo Heights, Park North, and Forum. The Lion and Rose Restaurant and British Pub. TheLionandRose.com.
How many of your photos, memories, music, and irreplaceable documents are stored on your computer? My guess is you probably have a lot. If you don't regularly back up your computer files, you are only one hard drive crash, one forgetful moment, or one accident away from losing your computer files forever. Backing up your files onto CDs or flash drives is a good idea, but who really has the time to do it on a regular basis? Plus, what would happen if your computer and your backups are in the same place at the wrong time? Want to know what the best way to back up your computer files is? The answer is easy. Let My PC Backup do it for you. My PC Backup is a small desktop application that automatically backs up all of your files to a schedule chosen by you. It takes a copy of your files, encrypts them, and sends them to our high-tech data centers via a secure 256-bit SSL connection. My PC Backup gives you the option to sync files between multiple computers. You can view your synced or backed up files at any time and from any location by logging into the web-based control panel. If disaster does strike, there is no need to panic. You can easily retrieve all of your files in just a few clicks by using the Restore feature on your desktop application. So sign up to My PC Backup today and see how reassuring it is to have all of your files automatically backed up, simply, safely, and securely.
At Groupon, we believe the best things in life come to those who search. To the everyday explorers. To those who leave no stone unturned. We believe in discoveries, both big and small. Your new favorite sushi bar. Your morning yoga class. The flight lesson you never thought you'd take. The local business you might never have found. And that's why Groupon makes it easy to find and save on the things you do every day. With a new way to search and thousands of the best deals to search for. When you want to do or buy just about anything, anywhere, anytime, don't sit back and wait for it. Check Groupon first.
Tom O'Halloran.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Of my red, white, and blue.
And welcome back. This is the Patriot Radio Show. And I am losing my voice. I am your host, Tom O'Halloran. Going back to New Hampshire again, almost done with the political stuff, but it was a big, big issue. A big primary. One of the best columns I've seen come out of this was the one Ann Coulter wrote. If you recall, in the last debate, Chris Christie basically beat up Marco Rubio for being a robot, for saying virtually the same exact lines over and over and over again, memorizing lines given to him by his campaign advisors and throwing them out anytime he had a spare 15 seconds. And it did the trick. Marco Rubio, who came in a tied second place, virtual tied second place in Iowa, got spanked and came in, what was it, fifth place in New Hampshire. Ann Coulter says, a New Jersey man slays a child. There was a lot of long faces at Fox News Tuesday night, but there's a silver lining for Senator Marco Rubio. He can go be a bartender like his dad. Surely you've heard him tell the story about his father being a bartender. Rubio was his pop's best customer after the debate. He can wear a flowered shirt, tell yarns about his father, and if he's asked to make any complicated concoctions, Jeb can fix it. Governor Christie will always be remembered for the noble service he performed for his country Saturday night at the debate. He must have known his campaign wasn't lighting the world on fire, but he was damned if he was going to stand by and let that pretty boy win. Christie smacked Rubio down at the GOP debate by dramatically exposing the fact that Rubio's only skill is a weird ability to regurgitate the memorized 25-second speech that is exactly what his advisors gave him, as the governor memorably put it. In a surprising move, Rubio responded by regurgitating the memorized 25-second speech that was exactly as the advisors gave him, and he did it again 3 more times. This is what Rubio said, all within 3 minutes. But I would add this: let's dispel this with this fiction that Barack doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to change this country. The next statement was, and let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. The third one went, here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true. He knows exactly what he's doing. And in case we didn't get his intent the 4th time, I think this is an important point. We have to understand what we're going through here. We are not facing a president who doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. That's why he's done the things he's done. Far from an important point. It's an incredibly boring point, Anne continues. We have to understand... the president knows what he's doing, but Rubio kept pounding out the words as if he were announcing the theory of relativity, proving that he had memorized words written by someone else. He even made the exact same grammatical error twice. Either we need to dispel the notion, or we need to dispense with the notion. We don't dispel with notions. Public speakers fumble over their words all the time, but if they're using their own words, they don't keep making the same unusual grammatical errors over and over. That's the smoking gun of Rubio's party trick of passionately delivering someone else's speech. This was one of the most riveting moments in campaign history. Suddenly, everyone felt what the rest of us had been saying all along. I want my presidential candidate to have reached puberty. Trump should make Christie his attorney general. 3 days later, Fox News tried to valiantly salvage the Teen Robots campaign. Fox News said, it was a hell of a night for Marco Rubio. Of all the people in the United States, only 4 people did better in New Hampshire tonight. That's out of 330 million people in the country. The number 2 finisher is speaking now, but let's go back to Rubio's remarkable and probably unprecedented 5th place finish in New Hampshire. Meanwhile, over at MSNBC, Rachel Maddow was agog at the fact that in this country, 66% of the GOP voters are comfortable with banning Muslim immigrants. Her neurotic repetition of the popularity of Trump's Muslim ban should be considered an in-kind donation to his campaign. Most people heard it and thought, is that true? I'm definitely switching to Trump. Even Muslim immigrants were saying, I probably wouldn't commit jihad myself, but I know some of the people coming here will. It's like importing immigrants with Ebola. We feel bad for them. We know it's not their fault, but we just can't let them in. For every 100,000 Muslims we admit, we know that at least a few hundred either plan to engage in terrorism right away or can be persuaded to engage in terrorism later. Another 10,000 will send them money or help them hide. And continues on, Trump could probably help himself by saying, fine. You don't want a temporary ban on Muslim immigrants? How about we temporarily suspend all immigration? Let's take a breather while we watch what happens in Europe. Not only would a pause in immigration be wildly popular, but it would also give Trump a jump start to his promise to be the greatest jobs president God ever created. There isn't a lot the entire country agrees on anymore. A few generations ago, there was so much that brought Americans together. Everyone read Life magazine, listened to Jack Benny on the radio, and then later watched Ed Sullivan together every single Sunday night. All Americans watched the moon landing, were traumatized when the Kennedy was shot, and we all supported the troops. But today, with a billion cable channels and specialty magazines on everything from bridal gowns to automatic rifles, and a wildly heterogeneous population, there's not a whole lot that brings us together. It's pretty much down to the Super Bowl, the Muslim ban, and as of Tuesday night, loathing Hillary Clinton. A great column from Ann Coulter this week. Meanwhile, up in Maryland, a gunman fatally shot a sheriff's deputy inside a crowded restaurant at lunchtime yesterday and killed another deputy in a shootout nearby. The suspect was killed in a shootout not far from the shopping center where the restaurant was situated in Hartford County. Remarkably, no bystanders were hurt. Police haven't revealed a motive for the shooting, but the sheriff said he believed the first deputy who approached the gunman was shot because he was wearing a uniform. The shooter, 67-year-old David Brian Evans, had warrants out for his arrest. Warrants were out of Hartford County and Orange County, Florida, where he was accused of assaulting a police officer. The slain officers were described as a 30-year veteran and a 60-year veteran, and the sheriff had met with both of the families. It's a tragic day for the Hartford County Sheriff's Office, he said. There were two outstanding deputies who served the citizens of this community. Turns out the sheriff was called into a restaurant just before noon because someone knew who this man was, and he was acting oddly. The sheriff walked over and sat down across the table from him and asked how he was doing. The man took a gun out and shot the deputy in the head. He then fled the restaurant, and after people called in a description and told where he went, a few other deputies came up and there was a shootout, ending this man's existence on planet Earth. Our prayers go out to these officers and all other officers that are facing this type of activity on a daily basis. Iran released footage, if you recall, just before President Obama's State of the Union speech. Iran captured 2 boats and took videos of our sailors kneeling down in the boats with their hands tied behind their backs. President Obama and John Kerry thanked the Iranians for their help with our off-course and stranded sailors, as though the boats were lost, as though they were in Iranian waters, as though it was our soldiers that were in the wrong. They thanked Iran for taking care of them and releasing them the next day. Our Secretary of State thanked the Iranian state of terror for abducting our soldiers and humiliating them and releasing photographs of them with their hands tied behind their back. He thanked our enemy, the ones that are chanting death to America. He thanked our enemies for capturing our soldiers. Now Iran has released video footage of one of these soldiers kneeling and crying. They've topped off the grotesque spectacle that John Kerry thanked them for earlier on. And they've released a video of one of our men crying. John Kerry should be put behind bars. He should be tried for treason and surely relieved of duty as Secretary of State. He's kowtowing to the enemy and thanking them for abducting our soldiers and treating them in ways contrary to the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Convention states that prisoners of war must at all times be protected, particularly against acts of violence or intimidation, and against insults and public curiosity. Prisoners of war are entitled in all circumstances to respect for their persons and their honor. And people are talking about Obama talking John Kerry into entering the race for presidency. What a disgrace that would be. That could possibly even be worse than having Obama be the president. John Kerry was a traitor during the Vietnam War, and he's a traitor today. Meanwhile, there are 113 Cubans being flown from Costa Rica to Mexico to cross the Texas border. A group of Cubans said to be vulnerable have reportedly been flown from Costa Rica to northern Mexico, where they are expected to cross the border into the United States. They will then apply for immigration status adjustments as Cuban refugees. These 113 Cubans, including pregnant women and children, were flown by the government of Costa Rica to Nuevo Laredo on Tuesday. Cuban refugees, Breitbart, Texas, reported on Sunday that a surge in Cuban illegal immigrants were crossing the border from Mexico into Texas after a long journey from Ecuador. Those Cubans use Ecuador as a gateway to travel to the United States, Breitbart reported. It is the only country in Latin America that allows Cubans to enter without a visa. This new group of Cubans were stranded in Costa Rica after Nicaragua sealed its border and refused to allow them passage on their journey to Mexico. It appears the new surge of Cubans attempting to cross the Texas border is a direct result of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Cuba and the United States by Barack Obama last year. The new policy sparked fears that the long-established policy of automatic status adjustment from illegal immigrant to resident might be dropped. It appears this is the latest of several flights from Costa Rica to northern Mexico. The number of Cuban refugees being stranded in Costa Rica, the government and other in Costa Rica, the government and other Central American countries reached an agreement to help move the migrants northward to the U.S. border. The program from Costa Rica began in January. This according to the BBC. Breitbart reports that Ecuador is no longer allowing Cubans to fly from their home country to Ecuador. They are asking the U.S. to reconsider automatic asylum laws. Cubans must now get permission from Ecuador to travel to that country. There are now approximately 7,000 Cubans trapped in a bottleneck trying to get U.S. passport or to get to the U.S. Professor Arturo Lopez Levy from the University of Texas at Rio Grande told Breitbart he expects this number to slow down by April or May. Everything Obama does has a reason. His opening up relations with Cuba was designed to bring more refugees from that country into America. More refugees that will be able to vote and skew the Democratic numbers. Everything Obama has ever done has been done to destroy America. Please stick around. We've got more coming up right after this.
It's that time again. It's what you've been dreading all year. It can be confusing, difficult, even painful. It has driven countless people to worry and to despair. It's something you hate, but something you have to do. It gets under your skin, and it can get you in over your head. It is income taxes. Now it is easier. It is faster. It can make you happy. It is less expensive than H&R Block and TurboTax. It will get you your biggest refund faster. It starts free. It is efile.com. efile.com. We make income taxes fast and easy.
How's it going, JR fans? Nick Libretti here, and today we're smoking the Oliva Cane Daytona. Another home run from the Oliva Company. Guys, this is the Cane Daytona. Medium to full body Nicaraguan smoke. Habano wrapper on it. Burns really, really nice. Hints of coffee. Really, really creamy, flavorful smoke. This thing changes flavors on me 4 or 5 times throughout the cigar. It's excellent. 3 words I would use to describe this thing: impeccable, complex, and out of this world. That's more than 3 words. Stop counting. We have 3 sizes, everything from a 46 to a 60 ring gauge. Get them right now at jrcigars.com.
Hi there, my name is Mark Cranenberg and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to talk about my favorite order from Chicago Steak Company. It's the Classic Prime Assortment. Alright, well let's open up and have a look what's inside. So right away we've got 2 6-ounce filet mignons. If you know anything about steak, it's really rare to see filet mignons with that kind of marbling in it. Just beautiful steak. And then next we've got the 2 12-ounce USDA prime strip steaks. Just look at how thick these things are. They're just beautiful. Again, beautifully marbled, amazing steak. Then we've got 2 USDA prime ribeyes. And if you like steak that is just mouth-watering, this is the steak for you. With all that marbling inside, you'll see it's thicker. The marbling is a lot thicker. That just means more moisture throughout your steak. Now we've got 6 USDA prime top sirloin steaks. These are the steaks that everyone's going to love. Then we're moving into our next package. Next we have 16 4-ounce gourmet Angus steak burgers. These are amazing burgers that everyone's going to love. And to top it all off, they give you 1 container of my favorite steak seasoning of all time, the Chicago Steak Spice. And you're going to love it too. So there you have the Classic Prime Assortment, my favorite and your ultimate steak experience. So be sure to order your steak today at mychicagosteak.com. I'm Mark. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time at mychicagosteak.com.
Tom O'Halloran has a not-so-common core spelling lesson for the Obama administration. Ready? There is no K in America.
There's kids that can't pray in school, $100 tanks of gas. I can tell you right now, this country ain't supposed to be like that. No, that ain't my America. That ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam, hold on to Sam, but I ain't letting you. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and you know I still bleed red, white, and blue. They ain't us, and that ain't my America. Oh no, that ain't my America. No, 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 no.
been a long time since it's been my America, but Donald Trump's going to fix all that. Shout out to my good friend Charlie. Got some revealing news regarding the political support out there. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's attorney is heading up a pro-Cruz, anti-Trump super PAC. It's kind of one of those aha moments. Ted Cruz swears that he's a non-establishment, but it seems like that's not the case. There's a super PAC called Stand for Truth, and it's registered out of Lexington, Kentucky, and headed up by a guy named Eric Lycan. Not a small PAC either. They're spending millions of dollars. Mr. Eric Lycan was Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's lawyer during his re-election campaign against Matt Bevin. Lycan also has deep tentacles within the entire GOP apparatus, including the Chamber of Commerce. You can confirm his identity from filing paperwork, blah, 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 blah. The story, I'm going to post it in the chat room, but for those of you that get here late or hear this in the archives, go to theconservativetreehouse.com. This story was posted on January 26th. Let's see. Control V. Post that in there. The lawyer is not just McConnell's lawyer. He's also represented and or is representing Mitch McConnell himself. Also represents clients to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. He's a member of the National Republican Lawyers Board of Governors. He was the Kentucky chairman of Lawyers for Romney. There's no questioning his GOP bona fides. But here's where it really gets interesting. Given his curriculum, his resume, if you will, and the direct connection to Mitch McConnell, you might not be expecting to see this. Millions of dollars that he's raising for Ted Cruz. For Ted Cruz and for advertising against $192 million being spent, or $192,000 for radio advertising against Ted Cruz. Don't buy into this Ted Cruz being the non-establishment. He's not an outsider. He is deeply entrenched in the GOP. He's got the lobbyists raising money for him at the same rate they're raising it for any other member of the GOP. He's one of them. He is an anti-Trump himself. So don't fall for that I'm an outsider crap. Now let's get to some rather stunning semi-news. I say semi because I broke this on Facebook several days ago, and I just never got around to bringing it here. But this is rather heartbreaking. We all see the Zika virus spreading throughout the country. The first case has been confirmed in Alabama. Officials in Alabama said the person had recently traveled to a country affected by the virus and returned infected. The individual has not been identified as a resident of Morgan County in the Tennessee Valley and is said to be fine. The Zika virus is now spread to 20 states as well as Washington, D.C., with 59 reported cases in the United States. All of the cases involved people who were infected abroad before coming home. 4 of the people have been tested and are awaiting results, while another person who had returned from Latin America came back negative. The person is fine, says Jim McVeigh, the Alabama Department of Public Health. Okay, so that's the current story. We're now in 20 states. We've got 59 cases of confirmed infectees. But hearing all this news about the Zika virus, I've always thought that it was just something that was out there in nature. No. What we're here to talk about today is the fact that you can buy it online. Yeah. The Rockefeller Foundation and Dr. Jordy Cazals own the patent on this. This was something that was created. This was created. Richard in the chat room just pulled up the same article that I got my information from. The purchasing of the Zika virus online is stunning news. You can buy it. Now, it doesn't say how much you're getting, or I haven't figured it out from all the information. It's freeze-dried. It's ATCC, which is a registered trademark, and VR84 appear to be two different codes for it. If you're a pro-profit organization, it's going to cost you $516. If you're a non-profit, it's $430. I'm wondering whether ISIS would qualify as for-profit or a non-profit. I guess they're for-profit. So they're going to have to come up with the extra $86. I didn't know that the Rockefeller Foundation was into biological warfare. I had no idea. I'm not sure why I'm stunned to hear this. But I want to know what you need to do to get some of this Zika virus. I mean, is this something that can be purchased by one political party to infect the other party's national convention? Is it something that somebody that hates the local county government can infect a water supply with? What do you need to prove your eligibility to buy something that is obviously biological warfare? It doesn't appear to be, in fact it's definitely not, just for sale to different governments. Do you have to have a biological lab? Okay, that would thin it out a little bit. Not everybody can afford to build a $10 million biohazard lab. But the fact, and it is a fact, that its origin is traced back to the Rockefeller Foundation. And it appears that there are at least 2 suppliers that offer 3 different strains of the virus. And it seems they'll sell it to any qualified level 2 biohazard laboratory. Now it appears to be conceivable that a bioterrorist organization could set up a biohazard lab and use it to acquire the Zika virus in a deliberate attempt to use it as a weapon against humanity. And there do not appear to be any adequate safeguards in the industry to prevent this from happening. And don't believe for a minute that there aren't people here in the United States that could do this within our borders. The Muslim Brotherhood has hundreds of front groups for all kinds of things. They could easily set up a front group for medical research and set up a biohazard lab to cure cancer. And once they have the lab, what's to prevent them from buying a couple 50-gallon drums? The Zika virus, man-made and for sale on the internet. That should give you some real cause for concern. Do you realize a level 2 biohazard lab can be built for $10 to $15 million? Do you realize how quickly Saudi Arabia gives out 10, 15, 20 million dollars to colleges and universities just for a Muslim outreach, for a Middle Eastern Studies Center? Do you realize it would be nothing for them to give $15 million, $20 million to build a lab like this, to get this kind of a chemical that they could put in an aerosol and fly with a drone over a 4th of July parade, over a gay rights rally? Why is this kind of thing sold on the open market without stringent controls? The idea that this is out there just for sale on the internet boggles my mind. Where will it all end? And with Obama's open borders, people are allowed to travel across the borders freely, almost without limitation. Folks, that's the show for today. This has been a Thursday edition of the Patriot Radio Show. Tune in tomorrow morning for a brand new episode of Jihad on America. God bless you and yours, America. God bless you, Charlie. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a child of God, a husband, NRA conservative,